Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kalachandji, Radhe Radhe, Radha Kalachandji, Radhe Radhe. Jaya Radha Kalachandji, Radhe Radhe, Radha Kalachandji, Radhe Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Nitya Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parijakacharya Surasat Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parijakacharya Surasat Srimad His Divine Grace Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. प्रेम से हो गहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसरी गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री वृंदावन धाम की श्री मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई की जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी की तुलसी देवी की Samaveda Bhaktavrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana
Prajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhav Jaya Radha Madhav Jaya Radha Madhav Jaya Radha Madhav Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Radha Madhava ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Welcome everyone to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. This is a big surprise. I did not expect this type of crowd. Usually we have a very small Srimad Bhagavatam class, but I'm really excited and grateful. I see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of peers and seniors, and I just pray for the blessings that I can say something that will be inspiring to this beautiful group of young women, the next leaders in our ISKCON movement. Today we're going to be studying Srimad Bhagavatam. We're in Canto 5, chapter, let me see my notes. Chapter 3, and we're going to go through verses 12 through 20 and focus in on one verse, 14. Before that, I'll go ahead and say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We can recite the Sanskrit and English together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Beautiful. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him, and I beg for service, life after life after life. Jai. Okay, we'll go ahead and get into the Srimad Bhagavatam right now. We're reading the pastime of Maharaj Nabi. Am I saying it right? I know it, but I've forgotten. And this is a very wonderful king. He's ruling right now, and he's praying for a son so that somebody can take over. And he's praying to Lord Vishnu. He's actually set up this whole fire sacrifice, this whole ceremony for the sake of asking Lord Vishnu to give him a son like him. He wants a son like Lord Vishnu. We'll hear in the verses, Lord Vishnu is like, well, there's no one like me, so I guess you'll have to have someone that is me. So we'll read through. We can take turns passing the mic around and reading the translations. We'll go from 12 until the end of the chapter, and then we'll focus in on 14. So someone can go ahead and start.
Dear Lord, we may not be able to remember your name, form, and qualities due to stumbling, hunger, falling down, yawning, or being in miserable disease condition at the time of death when there is a high fever. We therefore pray unto you, O Lord, for you are very affectionate to your devotees. Please help us remember you and utter your holy names, attributes, and activities, which can dispel all the reactions of our sinful lives.
An interesting note is that these prayers right now are actually being recited in what's called prose. So usually Sanskrit prayers, or most of Srimad Bhagavatam, is in poetic form. It follows a specific meter and rhyming format. But these devotees are praying in a way that's not like that, and maybe, seen like, oh, they don't have the intelligence to say it in the proper poetry, or maybe they're nervous, they're a little like, but in any case, it's sweet. The Lord sees it as very sweet that they're offering these prayers even though they're in prose. Yeah.
Dear Lord, here is the great King Nabi, whose ultimate goal in life is to have a son like you. Your Lordship, his position is like that of a person approaching a very rich man and begging for a little grain. Maharaj Nabi is so desirous of having a son that he is worshipping you for a son. Although you can offer him any exalted position, including elevation to the heavenly planets or liberation back to Godhead.
Mm.
Dear Lord, unless one worships the lotus feet of great devotees, one will be conquered by the illusory energy, and his intelligence will be bewildered. Indeed, who has not been carried away by the waves of material enjoyment, which are like poison? Your illusory energy is unconquerable. No one can see the path of this material energy or tell how it is working.
Why is desire for material enjoyment so bad? Any ideas? It distracts us from Krishna. It takes our mind away from service and puts our mind on us. It puts us in the center. When we're desiring material things, material sense gratification, then we're not able to fully offer our love and devotion to the Lord. Go ahead.
O Lord, you perform many wonderful activities. Our only aim was to acquire a son by performing this great sacrifice. Therefore, our intelligence is not very sharp. We are not experienced in ascertaining life's goal. By inviting you to this negligible sacrifice for some
Yeah.
What is it? For some material motive, we have certainly committed a great offense at your lotus feet. Therefore, O Lord of Lords, please excuse our offense because of your causeless mercy and equal mind.
So they're recognizing that they prayed for the Lord to come to the sacrifice for something that was material desire, which is not usually what we would go to Krishna or Vishnu for. Go ahead.
Priests who were even worshipped by King Nabi, the emperor of Varsa, offered prayers in prose. Generally, they were in poetry and bowed down at the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord of Lords, the ruler of the demigods, was very pleased with them, and he began to speak as follows.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead replied, O great sages, I am certainly very pleased with your prayers. You are all truthful. You have prayed for the benediction of a son like me for King Nabi, but this is very difficult to obtain, since I am the Supreme Person without a second, and since no one is equal to me, another personality like me is not possible to find. In any case, because you are all qualified brahmanas, your vibrations should not prove untrue. I consider the brahmanas who were all well qualified with brahmanical qualities to be as good as my own mouth.
Since I cannot find anyone equal to me, I shall personally expand myself into a plenary portion and thus advent myself in the womb of Merudev, the wife of Maharaja Nabi, the son of Anig.
Sukadeva Goswami continued, after saying this, the Lord disappeared. The wife of King Nabi, Queen Murudevi, was sitting by the side of her husband, and consequently she could hear everything the Supreme Lord had spoken.
O Vishnu Dat Parshit Maharaj, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was pleased by the great sages at this sacrifice. Consequently, the Lord decided to personally exhibit the method of executing religious principles. As observed by the brahmacharyas, sannyasis, vanaprasthas, and grahasthas, engaged in rituals and also satisfy Maharaj Nabi's desire. Consequently, he appeared as the son of Muru Devi in his original spiritual form, which is above the modes of material nature.
Hi. Thank you so much, everyone, for reading. We'll go ahead and go to verse 14 to focus on. And since the Sanskrit is in prose, I think we'll just go ahead and go down to the translation, so save some time. Okay. Translation, can someone read it? The nice, loud voice holding the mic to your mouth. Whoever has the mic. Go ahead.
Dear Lord, unless one worships the lotus feet of great devotees, one will be conquered by the illusory energy, and his intelligence will be bewildered. Indeed, who has not been carried away by the waves of material enjoyment, which are like poison? Your illusory energy is unconquerable. No one could see the path of this material energy or tell how it is working.
Why is the material energy, why is material enjoyment so bad? Go ahead. Exactly, it distracts us. Thank you. You were listening. Okay, I'll continue to kind of do things like that and ask you guys questions. I like to have interactive. This is the Krishna House style. We like to be very interactive, so keep your brains on so that we can have a conversation. I'm not just going to lecture the whole time, although that will be part of it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get into the purport. I'll read the purport, I think. Maharaj Nabi was inclined to performing great sacrifices for begetting a son. The son might be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but such a material desire, be it great or insignificant, is brought about by the influence of Maya. A devotee does not at all desire anything for sense gratification. Devotion is therefore explained as devoid of material desires. Everyone is subjected to the influence of Maya and entangled in all kinds of material desires, and Maharaj Nabi was no exception. Freedom from Maya's influence is possible when one engages in the service of the great devotees, Maharaj Charana Seva. Without worshipping the lotus feet of a great devotee, one cannot be freed from Maya's influence. Srila Narottam Das Thakur therefore says, Chadya Vaishnava Seva Nishtara Payeche Keva. Who has been freed from Maya's clutches without serving the lotus feet of a Vaishnava? Maya is aparajita, and her influence is also aparajita, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Daivi Hesha Guna Mayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. In the rest of that verse, Prabhupada didn't mention it. Those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. We surrender to Krishna via medium, the Vaishnavas, the representatives of Krishna. Only a devotee can surpass Maya's great influence. It was no fault on Maharaj Nabi's part that he wanted a son. He wanted a son like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the best of all sons. By the association of the Lord's devotee, one no longer desires material opulence. This is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 22:54. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastraikoya Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoya. And in CC Madhya 22:51. Mahad Kripa Vina Kona Karme Bhakti Naya Krishna Bhakti Dure Rahu Samsar Nahikshaya. If one is serious about escaping Maya's influence and returning home back to Godhead, one must associate with a sadhu, devotee. That is the verdict of all scriptures. By the slight association of a devotee, one can be freed from the clutches of Maya. Without the mercy of the pure devotee, one cannot get freedom by any means. Certainly, a pure devotee's association is necessary in order to obtain the loving service of the Lord. One cannot be freed from Maya's clutches without sadhu sangha. The benediction of a great devotee in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj says, I'll just go ahead to the translation. One cannot become the Lord's pure devotee without taking the dust of a great devotee on his head. Pada Rajo Bhishekam. A pure devotee is nishkinchana. He has no material desire to enjoy the material world. One has to take shelter of such a pure devotee in order to attain his qualities. The pure devotee is always free from the clutches of Maya and her influence. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, the sacrifice is being performed for the sake of getting a son. The sages that are reciting these prayers, they admit, oh Lord Vishnu, we asked you to come here to fulfill a material desire. This is not very appropriate because you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should ask you to come to give us pure devotional service. We should ask for nothing else other than service. What is higher than service? But still, we have material desires. Who else do we go to? We're not going to go to, some people will, but most of us as Hare Krishna Vaishnavas under Srila Prabhupada, we're not going to go to the demigods to fulfill our material desires. We're not going to ask Santa. We're going to go to Krishna. And we're going to say, Krishna, this is what I have in my heart. This is what I want. This is the desire that I hold very dear. And I'm going to present that to you. Because only you can really fulfill that desire. ideally, yeah, we go with humility and sincerity, and we pray for spiritual advancement. What is the danger, though, of going to Krishna with material desires? Does anyone have any idea? I do have one idea in mind, but I want to hear if there's any other thoughts. What could be a potential danger of going to Krishna with our material desires? Anyone can answer, even the adults in the assembly. Yeah? You want to use a mic? Is that okay? You might have to press it. Yeah.
You might want to come back to the material world.
It might make you want to come back to the material world. Yeah, we don't want to be too comfortable here, right? If Krishna fulfills all our material desires, we might just be like, oh, it's fine. I'll stay.
Be careful what you wish for, because Krishna is very mischievous.
That's a really good point. Yeah, we'll get into that later also. Definitely. Any other thoughts? Ajit?
Well, he only gives us what is best for us, so he might not fulfill our material desires, and then we might lose faith in him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. All of these are really good answers, and I'm sure there's so many good answers to this question, but this is the one that I was thinking. We see it often. I've seen it in a lot of Christian people. They'll pray for their mother to be cured of cancer, or something like that, something dramatic and heavy like that. And if it doesn't happen, if it's the unfortunate situation happens that their family member does leave their body, their faith is deeply disturbed. Oh, God must not be real, because he's not listening to me. And if he is real, then he's awful and he's mean and he doesn't really love me, because he would never do this to someone that he loves. We might think like this because we can't see the bigger picture. We can't see necessarily that this person who is leaving their body is a soul on a journey to her next destination, and is giving us a very important lesson on the temporary nature of life in this material world. We don't see all these factors that Krishna is trying to show us. We just see, I'm in pain, and if God is real, then he's the reason for my pain, which isn't necessarily untrue. God is the reason, in one sense, for everything happening. He is the reason for our pain, because he wants to teach us lessons, because he wants us to grow. Pain is usually the greatest catalyst for growth. It usually inspires the most advancement within us. But yeah, if we go to Krishna for material desires like this and they're not fulfilled, it could very well be shaken. That's why there's a specific way that we're taught to pray. Srila Prabhupada taught us to pray like this. When Srila Prabhupada himself was suffering from very deep health problems, the devotees thought that maybe he would be leaving this world. They wanted to pray, Krishna, keep Prabhupada here. We need him. We can't be without him. What are we going to do when he leaves? And Prabhupada supported they wanted him to stay. Prabhupada supported that, but he instructed them, okay, you can pray like this, but if you're going to pray like this, make sure you add on to the end, if you so desire. Krishna, if you so desire, please save Srila Prabhupada. Please keep him here for us for a little while longer. And Krishna did, actually, at that time. Srila Prabhupada remained on this planet for a few more years, did so much more to spread this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. And this is like protection from our own mind. When we add this tag at the end of our desire, our prayer of desire, we add this tag of, if you desire Krishna, if you want it to happen, it protects us from having our faith shaken, because then we're reminding ourselves, if Krishna wants it to happen, it will happen. Krishna will want it to happen if it's good for us, right? If it's going to help us come closer to him, sure, he's definitely going to allow that to happen. If it's not going to be good to us, he might not want it to happen. So when we say, if you so desire, we also leave room. Okay, if it doesn't happen, Krishna, I understand why. I understand that this was not a situation that was meant for me. And this reminds me of, when I was preparing for this class, I was remembering, there's this country song that it says, sometimes I thank God for unanswered prayers. And he says, remember when you're talking to the man upstairs, just because he doesn't answer doesn't mean he doesn't care. So unanswered prayers are sometimes our greatest benediction. I know I've prayed for a few things that I'm so happy it didn't happen. You know, sometimes that might be, I have some examples written down, like, you know, maybe let me get this job, or let me marry this person. Oh, if I would have gotten that job, the building burned down like a week later, I could have been there. Or if I would have married this person, you know, I wouldn't be in this situation that I'm in now, and this situation is so perfect for me, and I'm so happy here, you know, like this. So sometimes unanswered prayers are Krishna's greatest blessing to us. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that Krishna doesn't answer every single little desire that I have. I would be in big trouble. Like you were saying, yeah, we have to be careful what we wish for. And it also does happen that Krishna sometimes will answer prayers that maybe aren't exactly what he would want to give us. Maybe we did desire to, I'll just continue with this example of like marrying a certain person. Maybe we did desire to marry a certain person, and then he fulfills that desire, but there's a lot of turbulence in this relationship. It's good in the end. We learn a lot from this situation, stuff like this. This can happen in anything, or that job, you know. We learn a lot when this material desire is fulfilled. We also develop some detachment. We also lose that desire a little bit. This is often stated in regards to grihastha ashram. So this example comes of even having children, which I'm sure all of you are very wonderful to your parents, and they love having you as children. But somebody might have the experience of wanting a child so bad, and then they have a child and they realize, wow, this is a lot of work. I can hardly get my rounds done. I haven't been to Srimad Bhagavatam class in 4 years. Like this. And so they're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for my kids to be 18 and I can go back to the temple and engage in devotional service. And you know, it doesn't mean that you don't love your children, or it doesn't mean, but Krishna grants our desires, fulfills our desires in such a way that it actually makes us want him more. It makes us realize these material things, these material desires that we have, sometimes we need to fulfill them as stepping stones in our advancement in Krishna consciousness, but it's not the end goal. It's not at all. At the end of our lives, we're not going to be able to take any of these things or any of these people with us. We can take the lessons that we learned from them. We can take the love that they showed us, but we can't take them with us. So if we're attached to the person, to specific people or specific jobs or outcomes, we'll be disturbed, greatly disturbed at the time of death. Whereas if we hold on to the aspect that is eternal, the lessons, the love, the growth, the soul connection rather than the bodily connection, we can take all of these things with us onto our next life, or onto our next, you know, maybe we'll join Srila Prabhupada in his pastime, whatever, like this. So, yeah. Okay, so I went over that. Let me look at my notes again. Oh yeah, I had an example of how material enjoyment can distract us from Krishna. This one was very funny for me. I was so mad at myself. I had the opportunity to go to Vrindavan, and I was anticipating it for months and praying to enter and deeply, you know, experience the moods of the Dham. Simultaneously, I was also thinking, I'll be able to get a lot of really cute saris and nice skirts, and it's going to be a lot cheaper than it is at the Alachua gift shop or Radhakalachandra gift shop. So I had these two thoughts going on simultaneously. So then I get there to Vrindavan, and I'm having a wonderful time. I'm in the association of sadhus. I'm like, there's, like I said, simultaneously these things are happening. My mind is split. Because while I'm sitting there at the Govardhan retreat listening to Sachinandana Maharaj shared the deepest realizations of Sri Vrindavan Dham and Govardhan Hill and the pastimes of Lord Krishna, there's still a part of me that's thinking, oh, when am I going to go back to Loy Bazaar? And it's understandable, you know, this is an innocent little like desire, but it is a distraction. And so as far as we can remove these desires from our heart, that's what we want to do. And Prabhupada is saying in this purport to verse 14, how does this happen? How do we become free from material desires? You can shout it out if you know. Go ahead. Sadhu Sangha, yeah, perfect. By associating with devotees, exactly. And how does that work? How does that free us from material desires? How does association with devotees free us from the clutches of Maya, free us from material desires? Any ideas? You guys have any ideas over there of how association with devotees frees us from material desires? Dustin? The mic? Yeah.
Oh, well, one thing is that we're a product of our environment, right? If we surround ourselves with like-minded individuals, we start to become more like them.
Exactly.
That's one.
That is exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's one point.
Yeah, there's a saying, it's like, if you show me your 5 closest friends, then I can tell you exactly who you are. And that's usually how it goes. Whoever we surround ourselves with is gonna, like, if I hang out with thieves all the time, then it won't be long before I think, oh, it's not so bad. I mean, Walmart's a corporation and they have so much money, so I can just, it's like we have these little thoughts can kind, and then I'm a thief. And if I surround myself with devotees are always thinking, how can I serve Krishna? How can I remember Krishna? Oh, what's your favorite pastime of Krishna? They always want to have Krishna Katar, do kirtan. This is why you're here in this Kishore Yatra right now. It's because you want, or maybe your parents thought it would be good, and you also wanted to experience this sadhu sangha, the effects that happens when you're surrounding yourself with devotees in an atmosphere conducive for devotional life. We develop the qualities of the people that we associate with. So it's very important that we choose good association. Now, when we're choosing our association, that doesn't mean that we judge someone else if maybe they're not the best association for us. We don't think, oh, they're this or they're that or they're low or they're whatever, they're fallen. We shouldn't think like this. Because if we have this kind of judgment, it won't be long before we have to experience whatever they're going through that makes them behave that way. So we should think that is a spirit soul, and right now maybe they're going through something that has, affected their devotional life, and I would so easily fall into that too. So I need to be very, very careful. Let me find people that inspire me. We should think like this. Rather than thinking about the negative, oh, not this person. 1 second. We should think about, let me surround myself with these people. These people inspire me in my devotion. You go ahead.
Are like good examples of what not to do or what not to go to that like Krishna's trying to show you?
Yeah, it's true. It's definitely true. We have a lot of examples of how not to engage in devotional service. Yeah. I think it is very important to have this sense of discrimination when we're choosing our friends and choosing our association. And it's a very delicate balance to be able to discriminate without judging the soul that may be temporarily covered right now. When you see people that are just engaged completely in material life. I think most of you here are fortunate enough that you were born in devotee families. Maybe you haven't had to experience what it's like to grow up in an environment where meat eating is the norm. And all of these things just happen. People smoke, people drink, and the soul is very covered. We need to understand when we do see these people, not to judge them. Oh, they're just karmis. Oh, they're in Maya, stay away from them, they're bad. Like we do have some discrimination. Maybe I wouldn't necessarily take their association very deeply, but we need to understand the quality of the soul, and we can actually have compassion for the soul in that way. We can have compassion, we can pray for the people that we see, the people around us. Maybe if you go to public school, I had a lot of devotees at my public school, and I'm so grateful that they didn't neglect me because I was so much Maya, but luckily they befriended me, and I was able to join this movement because of that. So we should have compassion for the people around us, but we also need to be careful not to be contaminated by bad association. So it is a balance for sure. Does anyone have any thoughts on that point?
We heard a class in Chicago, I believe, and the devotee was talking about compassion, like that point exactly. And he was kind of discussing how compassion starts from within. And so we have to have compassion for other people, but also recognizing, like you said, we have to have compassion for ourselves. And if we're seeing other people or other souls that are covered by illusion, we can think to ourselves like, Krishna, thank you for everything. I once was probably covered in illusion too. I may be covered illusion in the future. Yeah. So please protect me and protect this person as well on their journey to you.
Yeah, beautifully put. Definitely. Yeah, that self-compassion, I really like that point actually. Because even still as practicing devotees, whether maybe we're initiated and sometimes we engage with the material energy and maybe we judge ourselves for it. And how we treat ourselves is usually how we're going to treat people around us. So if I judge myself and I get, start to be, hateful internally, then if I see someone else slip up a little bit, then it might come out in that way too, and then I make an offense. So we don't want to be too relaxed with ourselves, but we also want to understand, okay, we're all on a journey. We're all trying to be the best versions of ourselves. Yeah. Any other points? I think I'll open it up now for like any more discussion, questions, or just additions. Anything? Oh, Manjika.
Hare Krishna, thank you for a nice class. I hope to hear more from the Kishori Yatra young ladies. They're all so inspiring. But I just wanted to share, just the other day I was listening to a class by His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. It was on Bhagavad Gita, verse 9.14, Satatam Kirtiyanto Mam. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. And he said something that stuck with me. He said, your desires are a product of your association. So knowing that, choose your association. Be with the ones who are always chanting Krishna's glories.
Yeah, that's the crux of it. Yeah. Our desires, like if I'm surrounding myself with materialistic people that think, this is how I'll be happy, then I'm going to start to think, yeah, that's how I'll be happy. Pretty clothes and sense gratification and nice food, that's how I'll find. But if I'm surrounding myself with devotees who think I'll be happy if I can surrender to the Lord, then I'll think, maybe that's how I'll be happy too. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Yeah, we learn from devotees that the bliss that comes from surrender is actually the highest. It's the highest enjoyment that we can have. There's this verse, there's this song called Mana Shiksha, Instructions to the Mind by Raghunath Das Thakur. At the end of the first verse he's saying we should develop unprecedented and excessive attachment to this list of things, Guru and the holy name and all of these things. And at the end, so it says we should develop unprecedented and excessive attachment to the process of surrendering to the fresh, youthful couple of Raj. This process of surrendering is sometimes a little bit painful, actually. I don't know if you guys can relate. Sometimes to surrender my desires or surrender my false ego, I have to surrender the way that I view the world and allow my heart to open up to another perspective. It can be very difficult and it can hurt. It's like losing a part of myself that I've been attached to for lifetimes, this pride or lust or whatever it is. But this process, this sometimes painful process of surrender is like liquid gold for the devotee. It's nectar for the devotee. Every opportunity that I have to surrender, I want to take it. Anytime there's a slight conflict, let me dive into it head first and learn how I can humble myself in this situation and how I can learn from this situation. This to me is like the best thing ever. Sometimes very senior devotees, they kind of feel a little like sad because people don't correct them anymore. People don't chastise them anymore. They think, like I had Prabhupada Priya Mataji, she said this one time. She's like, sometimes I go to temples and I'm like, I could do whatever I wanted here and nobody would tell me anything. Like, this is not good for me. So while we're still not senior devotees, while we still have the blessing of being corrected and chastised, let us relish it and use it and relish every opportunity that we have to grow. Oh my gosh, thank you, Krishna, for showing me this part of myself that you can change and that I can pray to make advancement in this way or in that way. Thank you. Nanda Braj, you had a point?
Wow, that was amazing. That was really, really nice. I had a comment on the subject before, and so I apologize that I'll kind of go back.
It's cool.
But I wanted to encourage that how we do things is often subject to the who. So if you HOW, if you take that W and put it in the front, it's who. So who is affecting how we do things? For instance, I'll give you an example. Have you ever been singing kirtan and you think, man, I wish I could sing this kirtan like John V. Harrison or a Chuta Gopi, you know? So these are your who. These are your inspiration. And so our inspiration comes from the who, the association, the people that we think of when we do something. And so that's how strong association is that we are doing how we do things is from the who that is inspiring us to do it like that. And so be very careful with your association and the fact of who you think of when you do things, because that will really show you who your inspiration is and, you know, it will give you direction.
Beautiful. Thank you. Trista?
Yeah, I wanted to share my experience. It was kind of interesting. I grew up in like a devotee family, and so like my life was like living next to the temple, always going to the temple and things like that. And there came a point in my life where I was like not sure if I wanted to like, you know, always be a devotee, or I wanted to kind of, you know, dip my feet into the water of the material world or something like that. And so actually association with people who weren't born devotees was something really useful for me, because they told me, they were saying like, I've been there, you know, I did that for 20 years, I did that for 25 years, and trust me, there's nothing out there. And so, yeah, I found it interesting, like we want to surround ourselves with people. And for me, surrounding myself with people who had this different perspective, people who actually chose Krishna consciousness in their life, it really helped me to actually choose it myself too. Yeah, so I appreciate your class on this point of our association.
Did you turn it off?
Just going back to what you're talking about being chastised or criticized. Nityananda Prabhu told me that when someone criticizes you, it's actually Krishna wanting to make you uncomfortable because he misses you and he wants you to come home.
Perfect. Sina?
Just kind of dovetailing off of that point, we were talking about that yesterday. I said that being born a devotee, sometimes there's a lot of things that we take for granted in Krishna consciousness. And for me, whenever I meet people who join Krishna consciousness, I always ask, why did you join Krishna consciousness and what made you stay?
Wow.
And those things are like, those inspirations and that like experience is always very powerful to me. And yeah, it's just, that's something that has helped me appreciate Krishna consciousness too, from somebody who has had all the experience, kind of like you were saying.
Yeah, actually, it's like the best combination. When I first moved into Krishna House in Gainesville, Florida, my roommate, her name's Neela Manjari, so she was my first roommate when I moved in. And she, like, we hit it off as friends, and we were so inspired by one another. She was inspired by me because, like, I was like, this is all so new to me, and I just want to soak it up. And, like, I'm chanting 16 rounds and waking up every day for Tulsi Arti. And so maybe, like, for her also, it was like, wow, she was seeing how I was inspired, and so it inspired her. And I was learning so much from her about the culture, how to actually engage with devotees, how to wear a sari, and how to what my mood should be when I go to the temple, and how to humble myself in difficult situations. And she was being inspired by me because I was having all these new experiences and seeing things through fresh eyes. So yeah, it's definitely a nice combination if you get the opportunity. And that's why preaching is so powerful. Because even for me, even though I wasn't born into the movement, but having been practicing for the past 4 years, which is not a long time, but even still, I get complacent, and it gets like, okay, this is just what I do. This is just what I do. And so when I'm able to share Krishna consciousness with another person, and I hear how they're inspired by it, and how it, they're amazed, and they're like, whoa, this makes so much sense, then, oh my gosh, it's so enlivening for me. So I highly recommend that. Highly recommend preaching. I wouldn't, and even like, yeah, you might think like you're so young, like how can you really preach? But when I was in high school, there's this devotee, you might know him, his name is Vishnu. I just had a music class with him, and he gave me, I started asking him about Krishna, because I knew that he was a Hare Krishna, he had the Shika. And so he decided, for my 16th birthday, he gave me a Bhagavad Gita, and he would sometimes bring me prasadam that his father had made. And I didn't know the effect that would have on me until a few years later. But I had this Bhagavad Gita 4 years later, and I turned to it in my time of need. I found out about the ashram, and it was like, okay, Krishna, I get it. Like, I see that it's time. Like, I can't put it off anymore, And if he had thought, oh, this is just like a high school friend, like I shouldn't tell her about Krishna, like that's weird, then I would not be here today. So yeah, we should always be not pressuring people, not pushing it down people's throats, but if anyone shows any sort of interest, oh man, should we take that opportunity to share with them, show them how to chant japa, show them what the Bhagavad Gita is, Krishna book, really japa. And also another friend, Radha Priya, she gave me my first Tulsi necklace in high school. I didn't know what that meant, and then I joined the movement a few years later, and I'm wearing it every day. It's just, these things are so powerful. So we can just do it in very little ways, just like whenever someone asks, oh, what is this necklace that you wear? Do you want one? I can get you one. Like, let me, Sometimes we might think, oh, if they maybe eat meat, they maybe do all these sort of things, and they probably shouldn't wear Tulsi. That's not true. Tulsi is the reason why I became a devotee. Well, so many reasons, but yeah, Tulsi brought me in. Anyone can wear a Tulsi necklace, and anyone can chant japa, and anyone can read Bhagavad Gita. So if anyone expresses any interest, then we should take that opportunity to share it with them. Haribol. Any final thoughts before we wrap up the class? Okay. Cool. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Kishori Yatra ki jai.